This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at Fugitive Kind Theater for the world premiere of Shine Darkly Illyria.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm at KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Megan Brown. I was the playwright for Shine Darkly Illyria.
Why did you decide to write this?
You know, I was commissioned to write a piece for Fugitive Kind that was based on 12th Night, and within the show there's a lot of talk about kind of environmental issues and current political issues, and a lot of that stuff kind of got slipped in by accident. It was just kind of working with the ensemble and talking to the ensemble and breaking apart this story and what's going on in 12th Night, what's going on now, and it just kind of organically came out of that. I'm really surprised actually by how quickly this one came together. A lot of times it does take me a really long time, and this, we started work on it in December, and we're pretty solid by around March to start, and we've done a lot of changes within, but I think the story spoke to everyone in the ensemble, and I know to me personally, like, a lot of stuff felt really current and present, and I really wanted to get it out. So yeah, it was actually a considerably faster process than I'm used to, at least.
Well, the way I felt about it was I was overwhelmed at times. Other times I didn't get it, but there are some times I thought it was quite brilliant.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
I guess at the point sometimes I felt it. I connected and I thought it was fantastic. Other times I guess it was, because there's so many themes. There was a lot of sexuality to it. There was a lot of avant-garde scenery. There's a lot of acting that.
There's a lot of physical work. So Amanda, they do a lot of viewpointing and a lot of physical storytelling. So it's kind of nice as a writer because you can write something like he dives underwater to get the ship, and I mean they really turn it into something really, really beautiful.
I like the story about the woman who basically was finding herself, discovering herself. Because again, that's something that I'm kind of always focused on. I like strong female characters. So I feel that basically, and it's not because I'm a feminist or anything. The reason is because I feel that a woman, unless she really fulfills herself, it's very hard on the men that she's around. Because it's like the men have made made a box for her, or made a story, made a lifestyle for her, and they're actually the ones who are going to be suffering from it.
I am definitely a feminist, and I would say for me, I don't, I think that, one of the plays that we did last, The Pliant Girls, which had won a few Ovation Awards, that was really about gender issues. And so I for this one, really wanted to focus on a more global, just focus on something different. So I think kind of the idea of of really, self-exploration and, discovering yourself and discovering who you are and who you want to be and what you owe the world and, what's going on in the world. Like, I feel like, those are such universal feelings, that even if it was, a male character going through that, like, I would hope that it is seen as kind of a universal story.
Yeah, I would say it's a universal story, but again, I think it's something the society has purposely designed not to fill inside women, and that's why I like the fact that it's women.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because again, men wouldn't have this problem. Women do, just because society makes it their problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I again, at times I was a little confused by the play. Other times I thought it was quite brilliant.
Great, thank you so much. I mean, and thank you for coming, and we hope that you enjoyed it. So thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Amanda McRaven. I direct Shine Darkly Illyria. I love Shakespeare, and I directed 12th Night last summer, and I got really excited about the idea of using it to write a modern story. So that's why I wanted to do this right now. And then obviously, I think we capture themes in this that are in 12th Night that are really relevant to right now. Gender identity, climate change, living for yourself, your own truth, those kind of things.
At times about this, I was actually, it went over my head. Other times I found it a little overt. Other times I found it quite brilliant at other times. So, I mean, it was kind of an eclectic mix. And again, it was very avant-garde. What do you think about that?
That's okay. Yeah, I think theater should invigorate the space. I'm not interested in plays with realistic settings or realistic acting. I want the actors' bodies to tell the biggest story they can. I want the audience to be surprised by what the actors' bodies and voices can do. I want to astonish, like make you take your breath away, not because we're using theater magic, because we're using human magic. So if you want to call it avant-garde, that's fine.
Well, I thought it was inappropriate for children at times, but for adults I thought it was fine. It was a bit sexually explicit, but if you want to be avant-garde, if you want to stretch the boundaries, the envelope, you got to explore that side.
Yeah. Well, I was also, the text was sexually explicit, but I will never put real naked people having sex in my plays. That doesn't interest me. It's too realistic. It's pornographic. So at the one scene where the two characters were having sex, I always try to make it more like a dance. So a sensual movement instead of real sex, because I agree with you. And then we tried to find the humor in the explicit, the phone sex bits. Try to keep it light, even though it's a bit dirty.
Yeah, what I thought was quite brilliant was actually the trying to define oneself, trying to discover yourself, who you really are, and also expanding to develop the full potential of what you really are, opposed to what you are at the moment.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah, I think that's an important theme for me too. Absolutely. We live so much of our lives trying to be what other people want us to be. Yeah, whether it's a gender identity or even like the Sebastian storyline, just realizes that he needs to live for himself, that life is too short.
There was a situation where a woman, her whole desire was to get married, find a guy who made her happy.
Yeah.
It's impossible to always be happy. Anytime she was unhappy, she blamed her husband.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to make me happy every single time, and you're gonna be unhappy. That's just normal. So her husband basically said, "What do you like? What do you want in life? What makes you spiritually, emotionally, intellectually fulfilled?" And she couldn't answer any of that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we're dealing with the Shakespeare play is all the Shakespeare comedies end with a marriage. But then what? It's like a Disney movie. Like you just said, there's no such thing as happily ever after. There's dealing every day with your choices. And so we're also trying to explode the gender boxes that characters were in Shakespeare's day for obvious reasons. It wasn't a time of liberation for women, even though he wrote such fabulous female characters. But every single comedy, if you look at it, the women never have the last word. Even if they're great characters like Violet, the men always end the play. So that's what Megan was trying to do too, was say, okay, so what happens next? It's not a sequel, but what happens when you get married and you have no idea who the person is? Like in 12th Night, Olivia doesn't know Sebastian. And at the end, it's like, oh, okay, cool, well, everything's fine in the Shakespeare text. But we're like, no, what does that mean? So that's one of the things I love about this play is how do you, after the honeymoon, how do you really look at yourself and each other and decide what's real?
So again, like I said before, times it went over my head, but other times I thought it was quite brilliant. I thought it was just brilliant.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate your honesty. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you. We're big fans.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Jason Vanderbrake. I am born in Iowa. Moved to New York for a little while, moved to Irvine in 2004 to go to grad school, so graduated with my MFA from UCI in 2007, and a few years later we started Fugitive Kind with a bunch of UCI folks. I play Orsino in the show. I think he's, I mean, you know, the thing that everybody knows about Orsino is that he loves music. If music be the food of love, play on. So that's sort of the jumping off point in this sort of, you know, spiritual sequel to 12th Night. So I think he's a guy who, he's a little bit zen-er than all the rest of the characters. He sort of, you know, has his priorities in a different order, doesn't get too worked up about anything, and in that way kind of provides a nice counterpoint to all the, you know, all the people scurrying around worrying about everything. It's really fun to to play the comic relief in some cases and just voice of reason in others, and but he might not be the voice of reason to everybody. So I don't know. But super fun guy to play.
This piece was a very avant-garde. At times I was overwhelmed by it. At times I was confused about it. There are times I thought it was quite brilliant.
Thank you very much. That's very flattering. Yeah.
And actually, believe it or not, all the times I thought it was brilliant, you were involved in the scenes.
That's incredibly kind of you. Thank you. Megan gave me some amazing words to say. So yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, because again, when they were talking about relationships and basically, I don't know this guy. I was putting this facade when I met this guy. I had no idea when we got married, but I gotta find out. I gotta know now.
Yeah. No. Exactly. I try to put myself in that position above all the characters and just how unbelievably confusing, and it's wildly complex. All of their relationships, and I think the play does a really good and fun job of just sort of shaking all that out and saying, hey, what would it really be like, if once the curtain closes on 12th night? Okay, now what? And yeah, it's great.
If some of my viewers came by and saw this play, what should they expect to see?
They should expect. Oh, that's a great question. They should expect to see some real passion, energy on stage. I realize this isn't exactly plot, but I think it's just burning some serious calories up there to really have some communion with the audience and really share an experience and a story. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than a great story, and I think they'll expect to take a real journey somewhere and end up somewhere vastly different from where they started, which is always a satisfying night of theater.
I think, again, it's going to be so overwhelming at times, they'll be confused, just like me.
Yeah.
Some of it will go over their head because, again, we're talking about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it, again, they'll find quite brilliant, though.
And I appreciate that very much. Yeah. I'd love to hear more from you about what was confusing, what was hard to hard to parse a little bit, and learn more about how we can make it clear, or whether it needs to be clear. Sometimes in the theater, it's nice to be a little confounded in a delightful way. So yeah,
it's good to be shocked. It's good to be confused. If you go to a place where you understand everything, you don't want to be that. You want to actually you want to go with the flow every now and then.
That's boring. That's Sesame Street. Nothing against Sesame Street, but that's a half-hour sitcom or something. Which we're interested in something a little bigger than that.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks. Great to meet you.
Shine Darkly Illyria will be playing at Fugitive Kind Theater from May 6th to the 29th. For more information, go to www.fugitivekind.org.